Well, welcome to Rev Up. I'm Thomas Watson. I am a realtor, broker in charge, and instructor for this session of Rev Up. And today we're talking about the sales cycle and effective client communication. This is module 4 of the 12 modules of the Rev Up Fast Track series. And to kick off today, we're going to discuss our learning objectives. So we're going to talk about the 7 steps in the sales cycle, why they're important, why you need to remember them and rehearse them. Then we may get to some objection handling techniques and effective communication in sales, as well as we're going to hit on the DISC assessment briefly. And then talk about some other personality styles of communication. So as always, we start out with affirmations with our modules, because affirmations help us what? Remember why we're doing this. It's the self-talk, self-soothe us into the business mode, right? Not just the business mode, but the domination mode, I like to say. So I know this affirmation is a little small on the screen, but let me just read it first. So it says, I love to set appointments and I love to make presentations. All right, for those of you who don't like either one, and several years ago, I was one of those. We're gonna say it anyway, because what we say and internalize, we end up doing. Okay. All right. So I love to set appointments and I love to make presentations. So if you'll unmute on 3, let's all say it together. So 1, 2, 3. I love to set appointments and I love to make presentations. All right, cool. All right, good. You did it. See, wasn't so bad, was it?
No.
I will tell you, if you are going to have a business in real estate, you will learn to set appointments. I'm not saying you'll learn to love it, but you should, because appointments mean contracts, mean commission checks. So we got to start at the top. And I love to make presentations. So I don't know. So we're going to talk about real estate as being a people business, but you're going to be in front of people. Some of us like to be in front of crowds. Some of us like to do one-on-one. Well, guess what? You get to do any of that in real estate. And to be honest, if you really put yourself out there, get yourself in front of large groups, that is one way to build your business. However, I would say the one-on-one is going to be very crucial in growing your real estate business, because you got to get comfortable being one-on-one with people, in front of people. So really that they can see who you are and that you're the person that they need to take care of their real estate transactions. All right. Let's go to the next screen. So this leads us to the 7 steps in the sales cycle. How many of you love sales? Nobody loves sales? All right, we better just go get off.
I like it.
Off the Zoom.
Yeah. More sales, the better.
Hey, we love sales, right?
Yeah.
When I got into real estate in 2006, one of the first classes I got into, the presenter got up and said, "Hey, welcome to Sales 101." I'm like, what? I didn't really think of real estate as being in sales because I don't like sales, or I never did, previously. I like people. I don't want to sell people. Well, sales, the art of sales, if you get to studying, if you stay in this business long enough, you'll become artists of the sale. It's really all about helping people. The sales cycle is a process. So if you remember that, people before processes, and then comes profits. So you've got to learn to dominate the processes so that you can be a great salesperson. So let's just mention these 7. Number 1, and it starts at the bottom. Feel free to take a picture or screenshot of the screen or the graphic. So number 1 is prospect for leads. Prospect for leads. We must start there. Whatever that looks like for you, this is where every sales business starts. From the car salesman to the vacuum cleaner salesman to the insurance salesman or person, we all have to prospect. Now, when I think of prospecting, I think of digging for gold, right? And that's what it is. We're digging, not necessarily digging, but we're looking, we're keeping our eyes open. To be honest, we don't really have to dig because the leads are all around us. All we have to do is open our eyes. Now, and at Realty One Group, we call this step the circles of opportunity. And we'll talk about that here a little more. So number 2, who can read number 2 for me?
I got you. Make appointments, meet, build rapport.
Okay, great. What does it mean to build rapport?
To just kind of like build like a relationship with them, maybe not so professional and salesy, but more just to get to know you.
Yep. All right, great, Justin. So I call it just a connection. So when we make appointments, we want to make sure that we're making connections. Okay. So we'll talk about that a little more. Number 3 is qualify and needs analysis. Now, if you're like me, when I first looked at this, I'm like, oh my goodness, really? I just want to do this. I just want to go show houses. Well, to be honest, this is a step in the sales cycle, but all good sales people, we're always doing this. If we're really concerned about the needs of our clients, we will be doing this on a constant basis. This is the consultation phase. This isn't where we lecture the client. And this is not where we get in front of the client and listen to their rant. It is an open-ended dialogue, both directions. It's a consultation. It's a meeting of the minds. It's sharing of information. Number 4 is loyalty commitment. This is where we want their buy-in. This is where we make sure that we have the conversation so they know, hey, we're for hire. We're not doing this for free. And here's how it works. The 5th step is meet the needs. This is when we actually deliver, when we give them the goods, right? Show them the house. So number 6 is close the transaction. And to really, I mean, this is contract to close. I mean, we can't close the transaction until we opened it up or started it, right? And then 7, think of this. Look, 7 is the post-sale follow-up. Some of you might not think, oh, why is that in the sales cycle? Because it's after the sale. Well, in real estate, it is so important because if we don't follow up, if we don't stay in touch, we don't get more business. And the best way to grow a business is by word of mouth. So if people, look, you have 30 to 45 days to win the hearts and minds of your clients. If at the end of that 30, 45 days, they don't like you, something probably went really wrong in this transaction, but you've got all that time to win their hearts. You should be asking them for business all along, but specifically, we want to make note that after the sale, we put them in a follow-up phase and keep in touch. All right, so let's go back to step 1. We talked about prospecting for leads, like digging for gold. Who can y'all tell? Can y'all see the screen? Can y'all see the graphic?
Yes.
All right. So when I think of digging for gold, these are some of the options when it comes to real estate that come to mind? What are some that might come to your mind that are not on this graphic? Think hard. All right, I'll make it even easier. What is one example of one of these circles?
Online leads.
Okay, good. Yep,
Postcards for mailers.
yep, great. Any of you do any networking? What kind of networking do you do? BMI,
Social media.
social media. There you go. How many social media channels do you think the average person has?
3.
2 to 3.
At least. So look, these circles, you can break them down into subgroups, and I mean the list goes on. This could turn into 50 real easy. So the point is, you want to understand that you have your buyer or potential buyer, and then you have a whole lot of ways to be able to connect to that potential buyer. The question is, and here's what I would pose to you. If you're looking at a prospect, potential buyer, whatever, think about the relationship that you have with that person or the type of access that you have. It might be the friend of a friend of a friend, but you're going to use that relationship to talk to that client, right? It might be at your kid's football practice that you're meeting a potential buyer. You want to think about it. You want to use that relationship. You want to use that network, whatever it is. So if we look at this and really break this down, there's no cold calling here. Now we could, door knocking. Yeah, if we're going to go just knock on random doors, yeah, that could be cold calling. But for the most of this, 90% of this is warm leads. Okay, these are people that you've met or that somebody's introduced to you. If you go sit in an open house for another agent, think about it like this. It's not cold calling because you were given the invitation to be there. Does that make sense? So anyway, there is a relationship that is already in place that you need to foster. So that's the point I'm trying to make. So when it comes to your circle of influence, which you see here on the right hand of the graphic, I think that is your number one starting place, especially as a new agent or an agent that is transitioning from another career. We all have our Rolodex of friends, family, and colleagues. We just need to start tapping into them. All right, number 2. And if somebody could tell me when it's 9:45, that'll kind of give me a
Yeah, I got you.
heads up. All right. So when we talk about making appointments, the goal is to get face to face. Now, I know we've been in the age of remote meeting and all that. I will tell you, the face to face beats Zoom any time of the day. However, sometimes, like I have a client that closed on a house last week, and I haven't met them face to face yet. In fact, they're driving into North Carolina today. But that is not the usual circumstance. When I say face to face in a relationship basis, that's getting to know that person one-on-one. That is your goal in making appointments. So how do you get there? Well, let me break it down for you. So you want to make sure that you're meeting with only A or A+ prospects. And let's talk about this ABC thing. So if you're ranking clients as A, B, C, let's look at this. So A would be a client is ready, willing, and able. You learned that phrase in real estate school, to buy a house in 30 days or less, or to sell a house in 30 days or less. Okay. You would call that your A client. A B client is that client who needs 30 days to 6 months, 180 days. Okay. Those are B clients. C clients, they're going to take more than 6 months. They might have some credit issues. They might be, relocating, but their job, they're still on their job for another 6 months or a year. Somebody tell me, why do you think you would want to rate or rank clients based on their willingness to buy or ability to buy?
Just to prioritize more serious buyers.
Yep. Okay. All right. There we go. So when we talk about the business of real estate, right? In a business, you don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste assets or resources. So the best way to maximize our time and resources is to make sure that we're only working with people that are able to buy. At least up. Okay, let me just go back. You don't want to go show houses to a C client. Okay, they're not ready, and so if you show them houses prematurely, you're probably going to mess up that relationship. You're going to set false expectations. A client comes in and they talk with you and they're ready to go, and you don't act like you're motivated, you don't give them, you don't set them up on a search, they're probably going to walk and go find another agent who can take care of them. So it's all about setting expectations. So you want to rank your clients as like an A, B, or C, and you can do it hot lead, warm lead, whatever, however you want to. But when it comes to going in your CRM, client relationship management or manager, then when we rank our clients inside that CRM, it's going to help us know which business to focus on now. Okay. So, all right. So you want to meet with A or A plus prospects. These are people that are now, doesn't mean we're not going to meet with B clients. Okay. But what we're going to do in making appointments is we're focusing on A clients, people that are ready to go now. They've got their pre-approval letter. Okay. So you want to make sure that you meet them at a place that's professional and provides safety for you. Now, when it comes to the business of real estate, I always tell agents, don't do this alone. Find another agent in our firm that you resonate with, that can, you can bounce things off of, say, what do you think about my listing here before it goes live, all that good stuff. Somebody that you can just kind of partner with. I'm not talking about a team or anything like that. I would say do that because it's going to be to your advantage. You could even have that other agent meet you at the office if you don't feel comfortable meeting with people yourself. So, but always keep safety in mind. So meet at a public place and meet at a place where it's, it's professional or somewhat professional. I've met clients at Starbucks many times, mostly because it's convenient for the client and you can grab a coffee at the same time, right? But I try to meet them at the office when possible, just to put them in a professional situation. And that first meeting that you have, it really sets the tone for the rest of the relationship. All right, step 3. When we talk about qualification and needs analysis, we're not necessarily talking about qualifying them to buy, okay? We're talking about qualifying them as a client. And you're thinking about which one are they, A, B, or C? Make sure you follow the steps in the buyer process. I'm going to give you some worksheets. By the way, if you would go ahead and put your email in the chat so I can send you these worksheets right after the rev up session. Then what you want to do is when you're with this buyer, this lead, that's going to be your buyer or seller, you want to have this questionnaire form in front of you. It will help you focus and know what questions to ask. Now, after you've been doing this a while, you don't really need to have a form in front of you. But even for those like me, I've been doing this 17 years. Sometimes I forget. And I think, man, if I'd had that form in front of me, I would have asked them this question. So make it a habit to print out the form, put it in with your consultation packet. And when you meet with somebody, I would just go ahead and tell them, say, hey, I'm writing down some information that's going to help me help you in this process. So I have a few questions for you. And I don't have anybody that was not willing to answer those questions. So, and then the meeting of, in the meeting, you're doing more than just conveying information. You're showing them how much you care. You're showing them how enthusiastic you are about helping them find the home of their dreams, whatever it is. So there's a lot of good reasons to meet in person if possible. Now, if you can't, you're going to do it on a Zoom or on a phone call, right? If it's somebody, say, the friend of a family member, and you've got somewhat of a connection and they can't come to a meeting, it's okay to do it over the phone. It's okay to do it over Zoom. But if possible, try to have an in-person meeting. Which brings us to step 4. We're talking about this loyalty thing. Somebody tell me, somebody hasn't spoken up yet, if you're not driving. How does loyalty work in this client realtor relationship? What does it look like?
Trust you, they'll stay with you.
Say it again.
If they trust you, they will stay with you, and they will recommend more people to you.
Okay, yeah, I like what you said. If they trust us, do you think all realtors are trustworthy?
No.
Should be, shouldn't we? But think about this. How many of us tell people, I'm going to help you find the home of your dreams? And we forget to listen to them. We forget to dialogue with them enough. And we don't really understand exactly what they're looking for. And then we start showing them properties that don't match their interests. See, that's a mistrust thing, because they're going to look at us and say, well, I've told them what we want and they're showing us something else. I can't trust this person. When really what it probably is, you're so passionate and so energetic about helping them get to that dream house that you forget to listen to the things they're really not saying out loud, but they're showing by body language, or the whispers from the one partner to the other about what they didn't like. See, we have to stay up on all that. We have to listen really closely, because that brings that loyalty. Now, how do we get our clients to commit to us? We educate them, right? So when we're reading the working with real estate agents, that's a great place to start, because we're talking about our professional commitment, our standard to, what we're going to provide for them, what they can provide to us. So there has to be mutual agreement and cooperation on both sides, right? But in the end, you want to make sure that you're helping your buyers understand how representation is in their best interest. And excuse me, depends on how you say it. I like to say represent. I mean, it's the same thing as hire me. I want to represent you. Signing agency. I would try not to use the big words. I would try to keep it really simple with your clients. Let me tell you why you should be represented by a real estate professional. And sometimes I tell people about the first house we bought before I was licensed. We bought from a builder, no representation, and then that builder waited 4 months to start building our house. And then we were afraid we were not going to hit the timeline we needed. And it was a big mess. But out of all of that, it kind of gave me, it was kind of the backdrop for building up a reason for me to get my real estate license. So anyway, so having representation is in their best interest. So when it comes time to sign agency, if you've already had these conversations with them, they're not going to hesitate. All right, step 5 is meeting your client's needs. So I hope you guys can see that in these steps, there are going to be like lots of drop down steps that follow within these, right? But these are the overarching kind of steps in the sales process. So what does it mean to meet a client's need? Well, if you can clarify back to them their needs, you're winning the day. You want to make sure that you thoroughly understand their needs. And I didn't say wants, okay? Everybody wants what they can't have. Everybody wants $1 million house on a $500,000 budget. But that's not what I mean. What they need, they're going to tell you, well, we have 3 kids, we need at least 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, sorry. You need to listen closely and then take action. So when I say take action, it means provide value where and when needed. If they ask you to set up a search, if they tell you to set up a property search and you wait a week to do it, are you taking action? No, you're not. So you want to make sure that you're following up and providing them value throughout this process. Communicate frequently. Let me give you an example. So this is your exercise. If you'll just screenshot or take a photo of this, here's what I want you to do. I want to give you like 1 minute, 2 minutes. I want you to jot this down, and I want you to write it in your own language. So sometimes agents, they say, well, I didn't communicate with my client because I didn't have anything to say, or I didn't know what to say. Well, this is where I'm going to give you something to say. And if you keep this handy in your phone, you could copy, paste, and text it real easy. This will save many deals for you. If you go a week without updating your client, they're probably not going to like you. They're not, and they may never say it, but they might decide to move on to somebody else that's going to communicate. So it's something as simple as this. Hey, Bob, this is Tommy from Realty One Group Revolution. Just following up to let you know I'm here for you. There's nothing new to report right now, but I do want to keep you in the loop. And you can add something to that, or if there's nothing to add, that simple statement. This is a text, this is a voicemail, an email. It's a piece of communication that keeps you in the loop with your client. Did everybody get a chance to copy this down?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So think about somebody right now that you haven't followed up with. It might have been a couple of days. Just send them this text. Now, don't leave my name in it now. Make sure you make it yours. All right. We're talking about closing the sale or closing the transaction. By the way, let me make a comment. So I know that when we're talking about the business of real estate, we say transaction, we say deal, we say all kinds of things, contracts. But remember, when you're in front of your client, don't call them a transaction or a deal. It's a relationship. Okay. Words mean a lot. And don't ever let your client think you're a number or just another part of the process. They need to be special. Okay. And that will get you from contract to close. If you treat people the right way, you can mess up and get away with it. But if you're not treating people the right way, you're already done, in my opinion. I know, so I can tell you, I've gotten a lot of business from people who worked with another agent who didn't treat them right. So that's what's going to happen. They're going to leave you for somebody else. All right. So how do you get from contract to close? Well, educate, educate, educate. So having said that, what I don't mean is educate, vomit on them. Okay. Educate along the way, baby steps. Don't, when the first meeting with the client, don't go over what every little thing that's going to happen in the transaction or the process. You will overwhelm them. By the way, you should set up emails, and you can do this. You can do this in your notes app on your phone or whatever, but set up pieces of communication that you can copy and paste week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever. And it gives them a little more information about the process. Now, you might say, well, Tommy, where do I get this information? Well, the buyer's guide that I make available to you, copy, paste out of that. And it tells them what's coming next. You know, what's the next phase in the process. People will love you for that. All right, so let them know that you don't get paid until closing. Now, listen closely. Don't say this verbatim, but along the way, when you're talking about representation, this is a good place to say it. Say, look, this is what I do for a living. This is how I feed my family. I don't get paid until we close on the house. So what I'm doing eagerly, energetically, knowing that when this closes, you're going to get the house of your dreams. I'm going to get a paycheck. The message that you're conveying is that, hey, you're gonna bend over backwards to make this happen for them. You know, even your paycheck is on the line. You don't have to say all this, but you're not getting anything until it closes. And sometimes I like to compare that to salaried employees like in a bank. And sorry if you've worked in a bank, but I've just had some bad experiences. Loan officers at banks, they don't work before 8:30 and they don't work after 5, most of them. So if you think you can call them after hours and get information, try it. I tell them, look, me and my lender, we're available 24/7, you know, but I'm not telling them I'm not gonna answer my phone after 7 or 8, but we're available. We're gonna get it done. Then show them the many steps from acceptance to close. Again, I've got I can't remember which session it's in or which module, but I've got I think a JPEG for that's it shows the 48 steps in the buyer process, and that's really cool to show your clients. Sorry, it's cool to have available so you'll know what's next as well. Again, can't stress enough that communication is key. Before I go to step 7, are there any questions? All right, no questions. So remember the post-sale follow-up, some opportunities that will give you brownie points with your clients. So you've just closed the sale with them. You've just been engaged with them 30 to 45 days. Could be longer. I mean, you could have been working with this client for 6 months. Really think about budgeting thank you gifts, post sale. This means a lot. And especially if you brand it and it's something they can put on their coffee table or in their kitchen that they'll remember you by. So I know some agents spend a little bit of money and they do this cutlery with, your name engraved into it and all that. It doesn't have to be that extravagant. I found a guy, so I deal with a lot of veterans. I found a guy who made these, it was actually, I don't know what you call it officially, but the little cases you put the wine bottle in and it has the cork opener and all that in it. I bought a bulk case of those about 5 or 6 years ago, and it ended up being about $30 a piece. But I had my name, my logo branded on the top of that wine case, and I gave those out. And you know what? That's something somebody's not going to just throw away. They might give it away to somebody, I don't know, but they're not going to throw it away. So think of doing something like that. Ask for a referral. During the sale, during the process, you're asking for referrals, but definitely after the sale. You don't have to do it at closing or the day after, but a week after the sale, take them a closing gift and ask, say, hey, who else do you know that I can provide this great service to? Do you have any friends or family that are talking about buying or selling a house? I'd love to talk to them. It's that simple. And here's the crazy thing. If you don't ask them, they're not going to do it for you. People they're so busy. But if you ask them and they think, oh, yeah, well, Uncle Lou, yeah, he's going to sell his house. Let me give you his number. See, that's the way it works. You have to ask for the business. Also, ask them for feedback. Ask them how you did. What can you do better? In the military, we do this after every exercise, after every training event. But I will tell you, you need to have, thick shoulders, because they might give you a critique that you don't like. But you know what? That's good, because it's going to help you in your business. If you're doing something that agitates people, don't you want to know about it so you can change it? I mean, I would. So it could be something like people might come back and say, well, yeah, you texted so much. I wish there were, I wish you would have emailed me more instead of text, or they might not say anything at all. Or usually it's like, well, that home inspector, I didn't like that he didn't pick up those boxes in the garage and look behind them, whatever. But it gives them a chance to give you feedback. Okay. And then launch a follow-up plan in your CRM to stay in regular touch. So you can add these follow-up plans in your OneSuite CRM. I'm going to give you a past client template. What you can do is just look at it, and then you can go in and manually create this in your CRM. And I'll tell you, it's a good one. But let's talk about communication a little bit more. So I believe that sales is all about relationships. I really do. Think about it. When you go up and try to buy a car, you want to go up and you want to ask them a million questions, and they're trying to ask you, oh, hey, well, what do you do? I don't want to tell you what I do. I just want to buy a car. Tell me what kind of motor is in this thing. Well, what does your wife do? They're trying to build a relationship with you. And that's what we should be doing with people. Build rapport, build those connections, and then always ask questions and then listen to what they say. The greatest sales lesson ever came to us from God, right? We were born with one mouth, 2 ears, and 2 eyes. So that means we should speak less, listen more, and look more, right? Be observant, be a good listener. So it's twice as important to listen than it is to talk. All All right, IVEC. If you want to jot this acronym down, and IVEC, we're going to go through this really quick. So when we're talking about objections, so we're not going to talk about scripts here, but we're going to talk about the reason that people give you objections. So just say you're working in an open house and people are coming in the door, you're talking to them, you're providing information about the house. And then somebody says, yeah, I really thinking about, we're looking here. We live right down the street. You know, we're renting, but we're thinking about buying here in the next couple months. So you start asking them questions, and then all of a sudden they just kind of shut down and say, oh, well, we're not interested right now. What do you say to somebody in that circumstance? So that's an example. And it's usually one of these three things. People, they really do want to buy, but they're fearful. And the fear could be from taking that step of faith, or, you know, whatever. It could be they've always been told, hey, it's almost impossible to qualify for a loan. Or it could be that they're just afraid of the process. So we should be rehearsed in these different types of objections so that we can have a comeback, so that we can, it's not just that you have a comeback, but that we can resolve that fear. Or if there's a myth in their mind, then we can knock it out. So the first objection is almost never the actual objection. Okay. Sometimes I've found that people, one in a couple relationship, the one person wanted to buy a house, the other person was scared because they had a foreclosure in their past and they didn't think they could qualify for a loan. See, people don't talk about this stuff up front, but there are real concerns that they have behind the scenes. So that's investigate. V, validate. So to validate doesn't mean you agree with somebody, right? What does it mean to validate? Somebody tell me.
To show that you understand or sympathize or
Yep.
in their
So,
hesitation.
yep. And sometimes it's just literally validating almost their existence. It's acknowledging that they're there, that they have needs, that, you know, that they're a person. We don't know where people are in life when they come to us, you know, and I'm not telling you to be their counselor, mentor, pastor, or any of that, but I think we do need to be people that care, that have empathy. And so to validate somebody. So an example is sometimes people come up to me with these false expectations of what it is to buy a house or buy property. And I have to find a way to lovingly, you know, correct them without correcting them. Does that make sense? So you could say something like, I hear what you're saying. And I know that seems like it's the case, but let me tell you, this is what I've learned in real estate. And there's statistics to back this up. You know, so I'm validating that person that I'm not telling them what they said is wrong, but I'm telling them, hey, this is my experience. This is what I've learned in real estate. And it lets them know that, hey, I've listened to, you know, whatever it is they had to say. So this validation creates a safety shield for them. It lets them lower that shield. That, you know, a shield is for safety, but it can be a barrier in a relationship. So you want them to lower that shield so we can get to know them and they can really tell us their needs and expectations. But we got to be patient. You have to be patient because people open up over time. People don't always, it depends on their personality, which we're going to talk about here shortly. So just remember that you got to have a lot of patience in the sales process.
Hey, Tommy,
Yep.
it is 9:49.
Okay, good. I think we're still on time. Okay. IVEC, so the E is educate. So timing is everything. Do not educate too soon. I talked about this a little earlier. Make sure you educate along the way. Sometimes you'll have a type A or an analytical person that wants to know everything. That's where you can send them a copy of that buyer guide and just let them read it. But don't educate too soon. Ask for permission. Say something like this: I have information that I think will help you. May I share it with you? And that's a question. What are they going to say? No. No, they're going to say, yeah, sure. But it's getting their permission. So did you know that you can actually guide this whole transaction, this whole process, but allowing your clients to think they're in control? That's the art of the whole sales process. You have to maintain control. Once you lose control, I mean, things just go haywire. But you can do it in such a way to empower your clients and make them feel like they have the control. All right, so that was all right, let's just talk about the close briefly. So a lot of times the big goal is to get to the closing table, right? So we can sit with the attorney, they can go over the closing disclosure, everybody signs and everybody's happy, right? Well, not necessarily. Excuse me. So from our perspective as the real estate professional, we've done all this work for 4 to 6 weeks, and the closing table is kind of our icing on the cake, right? We're just like, we go there, we're relaxed, we're happy. But did you know this is probably the most intense time of the process for your client? They might not show it, but they are. So you should show up to closing with your client if at all possible. If you want to keep that relationship, because I remembered I had a schedule conflict on a closing, and this was somebody I knew, and I asked their permission not to be there. But I found out later after the close that they were pissed that I didn't come to closing with them. So anyway, if at all possible, try to be at the closing table with your client. They may feel less empowered because they're sitting with an attorney, or these are people they don't know, or it's just intimidating in itself a little bit. So that was kind of my soapbox, but that's not the intent of the slide. So when I say close, I'm talking about closing the deal, meaning you've got buy-in from this lead, from this prospect, and they are willing to work with you, and they sign a buyer agency. This is what we're talking about, asking for the agreement. So going back to the appointment, do you know there are some agents that are really good at sitting with people, articulating, presenting, but then at the end, they just leave it hanging and they think they can come back later and close the deal, or call me when you feel comfortable moving forward. No, don't do any of that. You always, when you're sitting with that client in that interview, whether it's a listing presentation, consult, or buyer consult, you always want to tie the knot before you leave. And it's something as simple as this. Is there anything that would keep you from signing an agency agreement with me right now? Is there anything that would keep you from signing this agreement so we can move forward and put your house on the market right now? You've got to ask them point blank. Ask for it, because here's the deal. If you put them on the spot and they like you, they're going to say yes anyway. If you put them on the spot and they're not sure yet, they're going to say they need more time. But the chances are that you can get that agreement then. But if you walk away and give another day or two for them to talk to another agent, they might come in and tie the knot before you get a chance to. And that's happened to me. So don't want it to happen to you. So ask for the agreement. All right, we're going to go to learning and personality types. We got 5 minutes. So if you'll look at this grid, it's a cross. So crosshairs, whatever you want to call it, red cross. Anyway, vertically, you've got your formal and informal. So formal is task oriented, informal is relationship oriented. On the horizontal line, we have a structured versus flow with. So what we want to do is we're going to talk about placing people in one of these 4 quadrants based on their personality type. So real quickly, think about your own personality and let's plot this. If you're more of a task-oriented person, you might be like, yeah, I lean more task-oriented, and I'm a kind of flow with the crowd or whatever. Then plot that. You would be in the top right quadrant. If you're somebody like me, I love relationships, but I am task-oriented primarily. So I would be task-oriented and I'm more structured. So I'm going to fall in this top left quadrant. Would somebody like to unmute and tell me what quadrant you fall in?
I'm
I would-
bottom left.
Everybody at the same time.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm bottom left.
Okay.
I'm bottom right.
Bottom left, bottom right. Anybody on the top? Yeah. Us type A's. Mostly on the top. All right. So bottom left, who was the promoter? Or the socializer?
Jessica.
All right. So this is something you can take. This will actually do you very well in social settings, networking, parties, groups of people. So use it to your advantage. The supporter, the relator, man, you're really going to be good at listening to your client. Now, the people on top, like me, I'm the controller. I like to control everything. Sometimes I will miss what you're saying because I'm focused on the next step. And that's not good. Do y'all kind of see where that's going? So the purpose of this slide is for you to think not about just you, but when you're sitting in front of your client, which one are they? If within 15 minutes, you should be able to figure out which quadrant they fall in. So that determines how you deal with them, how you communicate with them, what you say. Does that make sense? If you have somebody who's analytical, do you think they're going to want to see the data that you're talking about? Yes, they're going to want to see numbers. They're going to want to see spreadsheets. They're going to want to see all the reports that you have. Somebody like maybe the promoter, the socializer, they're going to want to have that eye contact. They're going to want to be with you in the same room. Okay. They don't care so much about the report. So this will help you work with people. All right, let's look at some learning styles. So some people are visual learners. They need to see it. They speak fast. They think others are too slow. They're usually the first to share something. It's usually their story. And they see it. They recognize and acknowledge that you're there with them. Do y'all know anybody like this? Boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. All right, these are people that need to see it. All right, how about auditory learners? They've got to hear it. You know what? You can present all day, but they need you to articulate it, your voice. They will cock their head to the side, tap their foot, or snap their fingers. These are verbal cues for them. I mean, audible cues for them. They speak at a moderate pace, neither fast nor slow, but pretty steady. They're usually the second person to share because they're intent on listening, but they do want to be heard. Does this ring a bell with anybody that you know? Then you have the one who, the people who learn by touching and feeling, who experience themselves. They're the ones that got to walk around the room and touch, the chimney, the kitchen countertops. They speak a little more slower. They think others are too fast. But these people, more than anybody, they want to feel connected. Have you met anybody like that? So why do we go over all of these personalities and learning styles? It's because you need to learn how to manage people, their expectations, the relationship, and these are some tools to help you do that. So who would like to tell me what the one habit is? What does it look like? Give me an example. Nobody? Really?
3 calls.
All right, who we calling? 911?
Yeah. For
3
sometimes
people
probably.
you don't know.
There you go. Or 3 people you want to work with. Add those 3 people to your database. Write 3 handwritten note cards to those 3 people you just added to your database, and then pick 3 other people out of your database that you haven't touched in a while and send them a postcard. And doing that will help you build your database. All right.
Nice.
Let me pull up. All right, here's some of the documents that I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you a document which gives you a little bit of information about RPR. I'm going to send you, can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to send you this buyer past client follow-up. So these are buyers that are closed. This is the touch campaign. Several steps. You can take this, copy paste it, build it into your CRM. And if you don't know how to do that, go into your OneSuite backend and look at the help videos, and I'll show you exactly how to do this. But I'm giving you the content here, or not the content, but the campaign. I'm going to send you this buyer consult sheet. Going to give you another buyer consultation questionnaire. It's a 1-pager. And I think that's it. All right. Any last minute questions? Let me see, did everybody send me their email? I got 4 emails. All right. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up. If you have any questions or concerns, something you want me to follow up, just email me and I'll get back to you. Other than that, I'll see you guys next Monday. Hey, how many are going to the Wednesday training?
I think I'm going.
I think I'll be there.
Okay, I'll be there, so I'll see you guys hopefully.
Where's it at?
Has
Has it been made official yet?
I think it's at the Charlotte office.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think.
I have to go back and look in the group, look at events.
All right, yeah, I'll double check too.
Oh no, it's at Fort Mill.
It's at Fort Mill.
Yeah, the hedge funds and growing your investors
Yeah.
business. Yes, it's at
Okay.
Fort Mill.
Well, good.
Cool.
Thanks, Brittany.
You're welcome. Have a good day, guys.
All right, sounds good. See you. Thank you, Thomas.
See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.